Good morning. Well, it might not be morning where you are, but hi, it's Susan at Seaside Stitches and welcome to my channel. This is my third Friday Sews, hashtag Friday Sews, and I'd like to thank Jen from Jen's Sewing Room for putting this together. It's an amazing kind of resource for people to be dropping by and meeting other people who are as interested as they are in sewing and crafting and doing whatever else they do. So welcome. And I just looked down and I can just see a big green circle now because the white ring light has just kind of altered my vision. I should just check that I have actually put this on before I begin. And here I am again. Okay, so this is for Friday Sews on the 17th of February. So I wasn't quite sure how to do this one, whether I was going to kind of present some of my makes. You're aware that here I am again in my linear top. I can't bear to be parted from them. They're just so comfy. So I've got this one on again. This is what I call number 2. And I have a little bit of footage of when I cut it out and when I, just a little alteration I made to the first one. When it came to the second one, I didn't make the alteration. I've now worked out what I'm going to do to it. I don't know if you can see at the sides, sometimes it kind of comes forward a little bit from the back. And this is a beautiful fit on the front. I'm fine with it. The back is a bit baggy and I'm going to work out a way of doing that for my third one. But just at the moment, I'm not doing a third one. Hi, it's me again, Susan at Seaside Stitches, and welcome to hashtag Friday Sews episode 3. What I thought I would do today is to just explain where I'm up to in terms of what I've decided I'm calling Finally Finished in February. So I hadn't planned this to be a kind of catch up on all the things I still had outstanding, but I've just been aware more about what things I've made, what things I've started, what things I'm finishing, and where the excitement lies for me. And sometimes it's not just in getting the job done and creating something. Sometimes it's the journey of it and the practice of it and the learning as I go along, and why did I do it that way and why did I not think I could have took that apart and redone it. So I think that's what February's been about for me. But I'm just going to go back a little bit to what I've talked about in my first January video. And I'm just going to move this. Might give you a little glimpse of, ooh, what's that? I did mention that I'd made some, they're just tea towels that I bought when we were on holiday sometime. And they were put in a box and I never got back to doing anything with them. I didn't want to use them in the kitchen particularly because they just felt too nice and seasidey. So I have just made quilt sandwiches of them, and I have now got them ready for binding, and all 3 of them, I think I showed you that one maybe. I've got places in my room just to kind of Seaside Stitches myself. I've got one of these, and then this one is for the bathroom really. Ooh. Now I could do that or I could stand up, but I don't know that we get all of it on anyway. The bathroom we inherited here has got, it's not actually got gold or gilt taps, but it does have, I'm going to say embroidery. The tiles have got a kind of big floral I can't speak. Floral motifs that are not us at all. We'll replace the loo and replace the basin, and we don't really want to be replacing the shower, so we're just covering up bits of this ornate bathroom tiling over time. Now we've been here since 2015 and it is now 2023, but in that time we have put in a new kitchen and done this, that, the other, but we're not messing about downstairs. So that's that, and so that is just one way of hiding a bit more of the floral nonsense. And these are, as I've said, this in a charity shop. I just picked up this, which is, it was a pillowcase, and I just thought that would be good for following lines to do some quilting. And well, I would have said, well, no one's going to see it, but obviously I've just shown it to possibly a couple of 100 people. But anyway, you're not going to see it if it's hanging up on the shelf there, covering some of my boxes. So that's what I did for that one. And this fabric was just some that was gifted to me in a box. Someone so kindly just said, did I want it, and sent me a big box of it. and I showed them how thrilled to bits I was and what bits of things I was using. Just thinking, and this is a piece of cotton quilting that I'd had, but there was all sorts there and it was lovely. And when I showed how much I enjoyed it, she sent some more from Wales with a friend who was going down to Wales and brought it back for me, a big bag. So there's all sorts of bits and pieces that I can use for other things. That's a long story short, or a short story very long now. So I'm going to put this back just because. So yes, very much the beach is my happy place. Possibly could be in the finally finished in February, but they may not be. I'm not going to hold myself to account, and I'm sure you're not going to hold me to account either. Now then, this is so beautiful. Now, as you know, I just like very drab, beigey kind of fabric, not. So I was inspired to make a certain dress. I'm not going to talk about which one it is yet, because again, it's like it doesn't put me under any kind of pressure to actually produce the dress. Not that you do that, it's about me feeling like, oh well, I mentioned that then and I haven't even done it yet. But I chose very carefully what fabric I would like, and I really do like sewing with this French jersey, and I've got several dresses in it now, and I like the way it washes, I like the way it wears, I like the comfort, I like the bit of give in it, and I do like Andrea Beyond the Pink Door. I do like her fabrics, and I do like supporting her channel and her business, and so I just thought I'd let you see that this is what I'm going to make a dress out of. Now, the day before yesterday, I made a toile for the top part, the bodice, and so to make sure I knew that the bodice would be held in place properly, I have had to make 2 short sleeves. I only had a little bit of fabric. It was some fabric that I'd had from a make that I made last September in my Sew Purple to End ALZ, and so it's not exactly the same kind of strength of this or weight of this, but it will give me an idea of whether it will work or not. And also, I'm a bit of a nuisance when it comes to skirts. I don't always like the skirt that comes with the pattern, so I have bought So Many Dresses, I think it's called, and So Little Time. I ordered it in August last year. It was out of stock everywhere, out of print even, and I ordered it in a number of places. When they thought they had it, then they let me know they didn't have it, and it finally came not long before Christmas, and I only opened it this week. So 2 days ago, when I was trying to work out if I have that bodice, do I really want that kind of flared out skirt or A-line skirt, or okay, so I shall show you something. So I am relatively, I mean, I'm not from the side, I'm not, but relatively I am quite trim to here, but then my hips go out like a shelf, so I'm not complaining about them. These are what I have. So one of them's a bit dipped and it goes a bit back, but anyway. So if I make a dress that comes to here and then goes out, it can make me look like a house end. So I have been, see, I've got all my layers here. I've got to readjust now, and I would rather you wear something that disguises it a little bit. And so I'm just on the hunt now through my patterns and through maybe looking in that book to look at how I can replace a skirt, and do I want to replace it with the one that I usually replace it with. So this is my little journey of thoughts processes. Bonkers in it, but there you go. So I think you can tell that I am overjoyed by this fabric. It's always a risk for me when I buy something I've seen online, because it just may not be a true account. When you, not that people are trying to do it on purpose, but you don't know until it arrives whether it's going to go or whether it's going to be, oh, that's a bit more dull than I thought. And yeah, I love it, absolutely love it. And I have washed it and just gently ironed it, and have had it folded downstairs, and I pass it every day because I thought I'm not taking that upstairs yet because it'll make me feel like I've got to get on with it. And I've been passing it every day, but this morning I had a client coming, so I had to move it somewhere. I thought I shall share this with you. So there is quite a lot of it. There we go. It's heavy, so I'm just going to plop it back down on here, and I am really looking forward to making it and to wearing it however it turns out, whichever way I go with it. So that is that. And then the other things, as you're aware, I made 2 of these pink. Well, if you saw my video before, you've seen my last 2 videos, you know that I was thrilled to bits because I finished a yellow boy, a yellow wobbly boy for my grandson just before Christmas. I made these 2 linen Pioneer sweaters from Sinclair Pattern Company, and I made a Billy sweater. The Billy sweater I'm not that keen on, and I'm in the process of making a pinafore dress out of some fabric that I don't really know what it is. In 2020 we got Christmas cancelled on us in the UK because steps weren't taken that maybe should have been taken a bit earlier to put a circuit breaker in for the COVID thing. But anyway, so we didn't see our family that Christmas, but in the weeks that followed, my daughter-in-law and had put together a lovely box. It was a sewing hamper, and it had fabric in, and it had patterns in, and it had books in about sewing, and it was awesome. And I don't like surprises, and so she took a risk. Because I have a thing about, even if someone has paid money themselves, I don't like to see that money is wasted, and I don't like to be given things that I don't really want. And I could never bear to do a subscription box ever, and I couldn't bear to pay any money properly for an advent calendar as someone else has decided what I may like and what I may need. So my heart goes out to you every month for those who do that, and I'm overjoyed with it, but I would be sick to the stomach wondering what the heck was coming. And I would, oh yes, so it only needs to be a slight off shade, and I actually feel physically not well. So in this box was the fabric that I'm talking about now, and I have a tiny piece of it here, and I don't know what it is. It looks like it's scuba-ish on the back, but it's not really got much give to it at all. It's to me it's like a bonded, in the olden days when I was in the 70s or 80s, there was a craze of having like bonded jersey which had a bonding on the back, and it gave it some structure and it made things stick out, so you could get a skirt and a waistcoat. I don't know why, but the thing was then to have a buckle. Never mind, don't matter. So anyway, it's bonded in some way, but I wanted to like this fabric, and I knew I would like this fabric if I could put it with just the right thing. And so I've had it for 2 years now at least, and it came in this hamper, and I didn't know how it would sew up. It's like a faux suede, you know, that brushed suede kind of a thing, but it's not suede. Anyway, it doesn't look very much there, but I'm really happy with how it's coming together. It's quite a structured, it's just an A-line pinafore like that. It's coming together well, but I'm not rushing at it because it is jersey, but it's kind of behaving like woven, and it's quite hard. I couldn't get the zip, couldn't get it turned over enough, and it stay there. It just springs. It's very lively. So anyway, that's another story on its own. So that, I'm taking my time with it, and yesterday I found the neckline. I didn't want to put facings on either because I do adjustments. So I have a different shape shoulder to it, was on the pattern. I've brought the front in and not the back, and I've brought the back in and not the front. So the facings never fit, and I never make the alterations to the facings. I can't be bothered. And so I can't remember what I actually did, and I've dropped a bit of this and I've dropped a bit of that and I've moved it in, so it's better to bind it. So I put the binding on. I watched lots of videos reminding me how to do that with bias binding, and I've done that on the front neckline, and I'm happy with it. Now yesterday I decided, I left it for a day and did something else like the toile for the secret dress. Not really secret. So then I had a go. I decided, right, well today yesterday I thought, right, I shall do the armholes now. And I was so confident. I'd got it all pinned on nicely on one side, and I'd even worked out how to join it at the bottom, which I'd never thought of making it into a loop. I sewed it on, and I thought I've kept really well into the crease. And then when I picked it up, I realised I'd sewn it on the inside. I'd sewn it on the wrong side to come over to the right, but then I was turning it in, so I didn't want it like that. So I gave it a wide berth most of the day, and then I went back and did the other side right, but the light was fading then, so I thought, well, I'll just finish it and I'll just get it how I want it and see how it goes on. And I was really pleased with it. I'd gone all the way around, I'd joined the ends, and it looked quite good. I'd snipped into the curve, I'd undersewn it, I'd understitched it, and I had got it ready for turning over for its second turn. And then I realised that I hadn't kept in the groove of the crease, and when I looked at it, it's miles out, but it's because I couldn't see it properly. So what I'm going to do today or tomorrow, depending on when I pick it up again, is that I will bring my machine over to this side, over there, and then I've got the window, I've got the light from the window on it, because where I sit and sew, I'm against a wall, but it's the best way I can get, I can lay the room out and get some light coming in, but it's not enough. Anyway, you don't need to know all the ins and outs. I'm going to bring my machine across and sew it there. And that's what I did when I did when I did these bigger things, and when I did this bag recently. I did this bag. So this is I'm going to call it an open over. It's not that. Open wide. It's a by Annie open wide bag that I made in January. I assembled that one in January, but I'd had all the components for it already. I've got videos of, I've either got footage, I've either got photos, or I've got some videos of me putting these together. Now, I've not done them as sew-alongs. I've already got a sew-along for an open wide bag last January-ish, and I've already got a sew along for this. Part 1, Part 2 and Part 3, and Part 4 was I hadn't put the binding on the second side, so this was all still loose. I hadn't turned it over, and when I did do it, oh, this is Harold. I'll explain who Harold is in a minute. When I did do it, I wasn't happy with the finish on it, and so I took it out, and in some places I couldn't even get the needle through it because it's quite a thick material and there's several layers, and by Annie Soft and Stable, and that's just the cover for the stabilising board. That's the bag itself. So all I did to this in January, I had already sent for size 16 top stitching needles, and there is a mill, Empress Mill is a company that sells fabrics and haberdashery and are specialists in thread, and they had got special stronger thread, so I had bought their thread and the needles back in January, February, March even last year, but I never got round to finishing it off. It seemed a big commitment to get back to, but I've done that in January, so I'm pleased I've done that in January. I have done this. Now this I did out of some dress material scraps that had just been hanging about in a box, and I just thought, this is so lovely, the fabric itself. I haven't patchworked them, I haven't made like quilt blocks or anything organised or symmetrical or anything. All I've done is, there were wavy scraps from where I'd cut out extra princess seam lines in a bodice that wasn't right, and then I redid it, and then so I had all sorts of wonky kind of fabrics, and I just laid them on the table and then just decided to just sew them up randomly into rectangles, or sew up the seams and then chop them into rectangles and then join those all together, and I had enough to make this, and so I quilted it with some by Annie Soft and Stable with some blue fabric that I had that kind of matches that darker bit, and I love these. And I've got a stash of by Annie zips and fold over elastic, and they're mesh, and that one's got a divided pocket, and I just wanted one of these for me because I'd made my daughter-in-law one, and I'd made this a set of 3, and she had the big one and the medium one, and I gave the smaller one to my great niece. So she'd been rearranging her bedroom and wanted something for just her little things and bits and bobs. So this is January. I made that. Oh, in December I was quilting that on one of the Vlogmases. So all I've done is straight line quilting. And this was a double zip gear bag, which is for my son, but it was for his birthday, not this December that's just gone, but the December before. So this got put on the pile of the little wobbly guy that I never got back to either. So I had cut out all the components for this. I do have some photos, but I think I'm going to do a separate video or something. And so they're all finished inside. You've no raw edges with by Annie bags. You make it as a quilt sandwich. You've got components where you make a little side pocket, and that one's the mesh pocket where I've got my design coming up. And in this one, because I didn't do the directional, this is the design coming up on the outer pocket, but on the inside of the pocket the design is going down. But again, I'm only showing you this, so don't tell anyone. And then so all the things were done, all the separate components were there, but I hadn't actually assembled it. So I assembled it in January, and I'm really proud of it that I finished it, and I do have fabric now to make the bigger one. This is just the medium double zip gear bag back there because it's a bit more brighter, and so that's now not going to fit there, is it? It's easier to slide that one in there and put. So Harold, oh, I've gone over now, it doesn't matter, I'm just watching time. Harold is a little teddy that we got from IKEA. We'd taken my mum on a little trip round IKEA sometime in 2011 or 2012 probably, and they were just £1, and my mum bought it for herself. She was like, oh, he's cute. And my dad passed away towards the end of 2011. He'd had a very short spell of Alzheimer's type symptoms and had some kidney failure, which had meant that this had caused the Alzheimer's symptoms. So she'd had quite a long road with him over that year and wasn't really prepared for him passing away within that relatively short period, but it was all so chaotic. Anyway, so she had been with my dad for 62 years when he passed away, and they did everything together. They worked together. They if she went swimming, he wanted to go. If she wanted to do aqua aerobics, he wanted to be swimming in the background. Anyway, the only thing he never joined with her was Weight Watchers. So she used to regularly join Weight Watchers after a spell of overeating because it gave her a bit of time away from my dad. Anyway, so my dad was called Harold. One day we went to see my mum, and she'd got this little guy on the cabinet, and she said, I've called him Harold, and at night when I go to bed I put him on my chest and I know Harold is with me. So it's been quite a little meaningful little object, and we all ended up with one. I've got one, my sisters have got one, and this one, there was the one that lived at Mum's house, and he's got writing on him somewhere from one of the children. Yeah, and when the great-grandchildren will go in there and maybe dressing him with some fancy clothes by writing on him, drawing on him. So this is Harold. So he's often in my, well, he never leaves my sewing room, but you may not have him in shot every time. But I just thought, oh, well, he can sit in there and peep out. Actually, there's a little, what they call, bellow divider that he can sit in there in and just peep through the tuck back. So there's Harold. Yes. And then there came a time when she didn't know he was Harold, and because she got dementia herself, so I'm not going to talk about that now. Anyway, this is February the 16th, the Thursday, because I need to get it edited to put it out for tonight so that it's out for Friday early morning. But I've had to chop and change with some of my other recent videos where I'm wearing this or wearing the other one of these. I've had to use a little bit of footage from either or both of them because I'm having some technology problems, and because I lost a bit of footage of when I tried to do a video and it was too dark. So I've had to kind of, what do you call that thing when we do it with hack bits together. So I think you'll see that anyway. Either when I do my makes one, or I might turn this into my makes one, because also it's been so dreary outside I haven't been able to film. I haven't been able to take photos of me wearing any of the garments that I've made. So I recently just done little videos of me walking in through this door and announcing what I'm wearing, and then you have to make do with that, and then a little bit to camera. So that's that, and an explanation for that, and it is an apology really, because I like to do it a bit more spontaneous and you get the mood more of what's going on. Now the mood today is that I'm excited to do this, and it's lovely. All the comments I've had have been amazing, and I do apologise for anyone I didn't get back to respond to your comments, because I've really enjoyed having the comments, and it's great. I've had more subscribers, I've had more thumbs up, and I just am overawed by this wonderful sewing community, and for those of you who are actually watching me. So I think you deserve a quality product, you know. Anyway, so yes, so if you'd like to thumbs up and you'd like to subscribe, I just want to thank you. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. If you've not met me before, I hope you will come back. But I really do enjoy having a comment from you, and it's nice to get to know who you are out there. And I'm one of those out there for so many other people. That's really good. So I hope you have a lovely week. I hope you enjoy your knitting, your sewing, your crafting. And thank you to everyone who has watched my channel, everyone who has added to their own channels and inspired me. And see you next week, all being well. Thank you. So it's Susan at Seaside Stitches signing off. #Friday Sews. Bye for now.